Hi, welcome back to PEL videos. Today we're outside because you know what, just because there's more regulations and a curfew doesn't mean you can't go out and enjoy the nice fresh air. So just take this time to go out and also watch this video outside. Today's topic is a bit of a serious topic because I'll be discussing Alzheimer's, which is something that is personal to me because I have a family member that suffers from Alzheimer's. So that's why I wanted to go into deeper research to kind of know how to take care of somebody with Alzheimer's. And this video will have 3 parts. The first part is what is Alzheimer's. The second part is how to take care of somebody with Alzheimer's and how to be there for them. And the third part is just how to prevent from having Alzheimer's. So Alzheimer's is the most common form of dementia, and it's basically when your brain progressively deteriorates. And for this disease, it's kind of tricky because there's no cure for it, but there's things that you can do to kind of slow the process down. So what happens basically is that communication between cells is blocked, and this is due to plaques, which are misfolded proteins. And this is just a very general explanation of what actually happens in the brain. It's a lot more complicated than that, because if it was very simple, we'd already have found a cure by now. Alzheimer's disease is that it's a disease that spreads throughout your brain, and it usually starts from the hippocampus, which is where all your memories are formed. And this is where you start to see that your short-term memory weakens, and it becomes harder to think of what you did yesterday, for example, what you ate for dinner or stuff like that. It can then spread to the frontal lobe, where logical thought processes are disturbed, and so you can't even think properly and have logical reasoning. And then it moves on to the temporal lobe, which is where all the emotions are controlled, and that's when you can have problems with mood swings, and that's where you can show some aggressive behaviors. Then when it spreads to the top of the brain, that's where all the hallucinations happen, and that's where paranoia occurs. And paranoia and hallucinations can be very difficult to handle because you're not sure what the person is seeing or how the person is gonna act. And then when it reaches the back of the brain, that's where long-term memory starts to disappear. So things that you would not have to think about doing, like writing or speaking, becomes harder and harder. And finally, it can reach the control center of the brain, where automatic actions like breathing or our heart beating just stops functioning. So as I said before, there are no cures for Alzheimer's, but there are treatments that can help slow the process down, and those include drug treatments, but non-drug treatments as well. So for the drug treatments, this would help reduce the anxiety that the patients would be going through, and it could maybe help with the memory problems and improve concentration and motivation. There's also something called acetylcholine therapy, which is basically when they try to slow down the breakage of acetylcholine in your brain. And acetylcholine is a chemical messenger and a neurotransmitter that helps with your memory. If you're taking care of a loved one that suffers from Alzheimer's, it can be very, very hard and stressful. But the thing is, you just have to be very patient and understanding. And of course, before you help someone else, you have to make sure that you're in a good place yourself. So this part is important for me because I want to know what I can do to help somebody that suffers from Alzheimer's. I kind of did some research, and I found that there are a couple things that you can do to help them out, and just to be there for them and support them and try to make their life easier. So obviously communicating with somebody that has Alzheimer's can be kind of tricky because they might not even recognize you, but you just have to learn to listen to them and to introduce yourself and let them know who you are. And that might take some time, and you always have to redo that because they might just forget, but you just have to keep it consistent. And you have to be very careful with the word choices that you use with that person, because you don't want to anger them, and you don't want them to get more frustrated with themselves for not remembering a certain thing. The next thing you can do to support someone with Alzheimer's is to create a routine. And you can do that by having alarms and just setting a set schedule that the person can follow. And this also helps the person that suffers from Alzheimer's to be more independent because they have a fixed schedule that they just follow every day, and it becomes kind of like a loop. But you also have to make sure to include activities that are meaningful. So physical exercise is very important, and cognitive stimulation is also super important, because you always want that person to be stimulated in some kind of way, whether it's physically or mentally. So examples of what you can do is going out for walks or taking swimming lessons. And for cognitive stimulation, you could play a puzzle or read. You could also plan trips to the museum, for example, or to another city. But I know it's kind of difficult with Corona at the moment, but just once it gets better, maybe you could do something like that. Also, another nice activity that you could do with somebody that has Alzheimer's, and especially if they're a family member, you could like show them a photo album and just reminisce the good old times, and just like talk to them and tell them stories while going through the pictures. And finally, you just have to be positive and try to make the best out of the circumstances. I know it can be super difficult, and I understand that it's very hard at times, but if you just don't feel great, then you shouldn't be around the person that suffers from Alzheimer's at that exact time, because it's just not the right energy that you want to be sending them. So now, how to prevent Alzheimer's? Of course, this is not like proven to be like 100% effective. Doesn't mean that you do this that you will not get Alzheimer's, but it's just that research shows that these things can help prevent cognitive decline and would help you have a healthier lifestyle overall. First off, you have to exercise, and this will allow you to release all the stress you might have, and also to keep your body in shape. Another thing is to stimulate your brain, so play more puzzles and read more and do cognitive trainings. There are some exercises that you can find online that you can do to like help your brain develop and grow. Also, maintaining a healthy social life is very important. Finally, it is recommended to switch to a plant-based diet and consume more antioxidants, and this is just going to help you be healthier in the long term and make you have more energy. Thank you all for watching this video. I really hope you enjoyed it. I hope this will help you understand what somebody with Alzheimer's is going through, and will help you support them and be there for them. Like, comment, subscribe, and see you next week.